And we are back. Today, as the image already shows, I have got a game between Brain and Voss. So let's dive into the game and get you a little bit more context on this game specifically. So, by Voss, it's also known as JH in Starcraft world. A lot of players who watch my channel know who this guy is. And for the past couple of seasons, he has been dominating the Starcraft World 1 vs 1 fastest map league on the western map, the space map. And his opponent is LAN5LAN3LAN4, which is a name used by Braingod himself in December. So this game is not that old, only about a month and a half old. And you can even find this series of games back on their respective stream VODs. So that's interesting. And Braingod is the player who took Starcraft World 1 vs 1 by storm in Season 2, 3, and 5 or 6. And he dominated all of them. And he pretty much shook everyone to the core that someone just couldn't be this ridiculously good at the game. But let's get into the game itself. So now, I hope I can showcase with this series just what makes him so damn good. And he starts off with, well, the very normal, regular Terran versus Protoss build. Whereas Voss is starting off with the very regular standard, the most orthodox Protoss build you can think of, which is a Nexus. Well, pylon Nexus, and then a forge, pylon in your choke. Then you go back and build the gateway there, and then you start cannons in your choke. It's the most basic, but it has proven to be a very effective build time and time again. Because the opponent cannot really get in unless they cheese. And the Marine here is coming out a bit early. It's going to find that. But Voss is going to try to find that Marine. Well, that's a great starter step there from Brain. Great control. He's getting some damage down on that cannon, but a couple of probes have been pulled over. Try and make sure that the cannons will finish, and the back cannon there will definitely finish. So Brain now either has the choice to send those Marines in, or just take this frontal cannon down, which he won't be able to do, and now he also won't get information. He did kill 2 probes, or a single probe there from Voss, so at least he built a little bit of an advantage there. Not a big one, because of this Nexus here, but 2 probes is still 2 probes, considering he lost nothing in exchange himself. And he's lifting up his barracks. That is very interesting. And it doesn't appear that he's playing all that serious, but he's going to try to make this work nonetheless. But I expect that Voss is going to be scouting his sides there, because he's going to want to make a pylon there, because he knows that Braingod is most definitely going to lift the barrack over. But little does he know, it's not a single barrack, it's 3 barracks that's being lifted over. There's no academy out for Braingod, so he can only make Marines. He's making 2 extra command centers. That's very greedy, while you're lifting up your barracks into the opponent's base. But he's doing it because he knows that Voss probably doesn't have a lot of gateway units out, so he's just gonna... He lifted them back up again. Alright, that is quite interesting. Not sure what he was planning on doing there. I mean, I know what he's planning on doing there, but it definitely didn't work. But this is going to backfire really hard, because this is pretty much this cheese where you try to lift your barracks over into the Protoss' base and hope that your Marines, well, Firebats, but couldn't get Firebats out because they had no academy, that they can deal some damage to the probe line or just try to harass these pylons and gateways there. But Voss answered it without having to answer it, because Braingod didn't commit to it, didn't pull through. There's a factory on the way though. He's landing his barracks. He could have landed his barracks there on the top and start making Marines right away. This costs him a little bit more time, so he's going to be at least 3 Marines behind of where he could be. Zella there just getting information. Voss, on the other hand, is adapting by going for Dragoon range and making more gateways. He's not really committing to tech all that much. He is making a robotic facility though, which gives him the option to make a single Actually, he's going for 2. So he's investing a lot of gas into this. Those Dragoons. This is a little bit of a mixed message here from Voss, because he's going for Dragoon range, he's going for Dragoons, he's going for robotic facility as well, but it means that It's costing him a lot of gas to go for Dragoons and all that at the same time. He does have 3 simulators though. 37 probes. It's already quite a lot of probes there, I will admit. This kind of feels like he's trying 2 things at the same time, or maybe he's trying something completely unique. These Dragoons here in the front will have easy access on firing on those depots. There's no marine range. Stim is almost finished upgrading. Braingod cancels the wall because he knows that he cannot finish that wall. He knows these depots are going to go down. Once those depots go down, he's going to get supply stuck, which gives Voss a huge advantage here. Braingod now stims in. Voss is microing his Dragoons backwards. Braingod is trying to get some damage out on those Dragoons, trying to buy himself time for those tanks, because the tank is... He doesn't have siege mode on the way. He does not have siege mode on the way. Alright, no siege mode is on the way. That's going to hurt him tremendously because he's going to need that siege mode. Because just the tank itself is not going to help all that much. This is a little oversight here from Braingod, not getting the siege mode upgrade. Well, he does have the gas for it. He managed to scare those Dragoons away to the other side of the map. Get himself a full wall up here. Though there's a little bit of... They can walk through here. There's bunkers there being added on as well. He has marine range not on the way, so he's sticking to just stim upgrade. Tank is finished, but he now realizes that he doesn't have a siege mode. If he had siege mode right here, he could repel this so easily because the tank could just siege up in the back here. Now his tank is getting blocked by his own SCV. A lot of unfortunate things happening here for Braingod that usually never really happen when Braingod plays. He's pretty much completely exposed to whatever Voss wants to do here. There's a shuttle finished up with 2 Reavers. He knows he won't... Wait, he can fly in. He can fly in because those turrets have not yet finished. There's only a single turret there. He's going to fly in. The shuttle is going to stay alive. Drops a Reaver, drops a second Reaver, and now he's inside of Voss's base and Braingod's base. And Braingod is completely exposed here. And this is pretty much just a massive oversight of small little things that kept escalating against Braingod. Most of them by his own hands, like the oversight with the siege mode, lifting his barracks and then setting them back, not getting marine range while having the gas. A lot of misspent minerals there from Braingod. Maybe he wasn't playing serious, maybe he is just messing up by accident. I am not sure, but this game is going into Voss's favor by a mile or 2. Nothing can go wrong anymore for Voss. This game is in the bag, and I'm expecting Braingod to tap out and call it GG within a matter of seconds because he loses the tank there. Voss keeps scaling up. He's not even spending his minerals anymore. He's just fighting and microing. 2,300 minerals now. He gets his shot off on the SCVs. Braingod calls it GG, and that is game number 1. Wrapped up in favor of Voss, and Braingod kind of kept escalating and spiraling downwards into what is probably his worst performance I've ever seen. Really interesting. Didn't expect the series to open in this peculiar, specific way. But let's get into the next one and see if Braingod can pull himself together or not. For game number 2, both players have swapped races. So that means Braingod is now playing the Protoss, and I will admit his Protoss is by far his best race. He has even managed to qualify for Africa Star League Season 9, playing Protoss, beating Saxry, beating Bishop, and he is now officially in the ASL number 9 under the name Sea.kH, although he did play the qualifiers under the name by Brain. Anyway, so I think he's got so much experience on Protoss. His Protoss is absolutely phenomenal, but just being a Protoss main on the regular maps doesn't mean that you automatically transition into being a Protoss god on fastest map as well. Examples are Jaehoon or some other Protoss players. Running out of names for a second there, but his Protoss specifically is very, very, very good. Very creative, manages to do micro things that I haven't even seen a lot of regular map players do. But then again, he is basically pretty much on the level of pro players right now. And yeah, Voss, the orange Terran right beneath him, starts off with the barrack, followed by the depot, followed by another barrack, of course, and of course we're going to see a third barrack thrown out into the mix as well. Braingod starting out with the same build that Voss did last time, going for the +1 Nexus, which will definitely be followed up by a Forge. And then the probe is not going to the choke. It's going to make a gateway first, and then it's going to to the choke. That's a little bit of a delay on the cannons inside of his choke, because this forge will finish up a little bit earlier than this pylon will. We can keep track of that. As you can see here, forge is about to finish up, so his cannon's going to be a little delayed. And this marine will go up to the north, because the SCV has already found the choke there. So already started making a bunker. Marine is on the way, which means that Braingod is pulling a couple of probes into the fight here to try and repel this offense from Braingod here. Marine is already being microed. He's attacking while moving with that probe. Manages to catch the Marine. Marine doesn't get into the base. Now he's going to block that SCV from making the bunker. He blocks the other SCV from making the bunker as well. Managed to completely wall it off from getting in there. And there is the Marine. He micros the probe there. That's some really, really sick micro. That's really sick micro. On this probe specifically, managing to block the Marine from pulling away so these other probes can keep attacking the Marine. And it leads to Braingod very easily and successfully getting his choke up, despite not doing it in the safest order. Because the cannon got delayed by at least 7 or... I want to say 7 or 9 seconds, but yeah, 7 or 9 seconds. Which can be crucial in getting your choke up. He managed to get it up and even cancelled a cannon. Goes for a single cannon on the choke. Has a single zealot there in the front. Voss is fully committing to the offensive turn here. Although he's also adding a command center. He stopped making marines for a little while, but he's adding a academy now. Then I'm sure he's going to be adding medics into the mix soon as well, once that academy finishes. So once again, some great micro here from Braingod. Managing to move forward while attacking. Stutter stepping forward with zealots. Managed to keep one zealot alive. Barely though, but this zealot is going to make it all the way into the base of Voss, and he's going to get himself information on what Voss is up to. Zealot's going to die soon, and Braingod is doing the exact same thing that Voss was doing the last game, though he's doing it on a 3 gateway instead of a 2 gateway goon start. So the goon range on their way. Will he add on more gateways? He's doing pretty much the same thing. The exact same thing, aside from Braingod didn't... Voss didn't lift his barracks, which Braingod did. But I think he's going to try to give Voss a taste of his own medicine here. And beat him with the build that he just got beaten with. So the Dragoons are going to be coming out. The Dragoons are also great to fight against these Marines, because Voss tries to sneak in there, but those Dragoons pretty much blocking off the ability to go in there. He tried to go in there and probably stim on those probes under the anticipation or the suggestion or the assumption, that's the word, under the assumption that Braingod wouldn't have any use to fight against the Marines. But now he's forced to pull back to his base. Voss throws up a bunch of bunkers really, really quick. Braingod tries to slow those bunkers down by going for the SCVs, but one SCV stays alive. Managed to kill 2 of them. Now the bunkers are being finished up, but those Marines are trying to buy time for the SCVs to finish the bunkers. But it pretty much means that all of the Marines have gone down there, except for those 5. But at least he managed to get the bunker up, a single one albeit. Singularity charge is almost finished, only a couple of seconds away. He's now added on 2 robotic facilities, and the Dragoon range is finished up, but he can't, he's repositioning his Dragoons just a little bit, making sure that they stay out of range. He's moving them by the smallest of margins, and the bunker goes down, but another bunker finishes up real quick. Now the Marines are relocating to another bunker. There's a lot of SCVs there, but SCVs are now being focused down by those Dragoons, and Braingod manages to micro back, stay outside the range of those bunkers. And the Marine range is now about finishing up, because that's the only thing that can keep Braingod out here, apart from the repair on the bunker, is a combination that is absolutely crucial here. And yeah, there's the Dragoon range, and now he's going to go in. No, he's going to micro his way in. Voss is going to try to block his Dragoons from getting in there. He managed to get a block off, and only 2 Dragoons make it in. This one is going to go down, but he gets 2 Dragoons into the base of Braingod, and Braingod is now going to shuttle those Dragoons over the wall. He's turning a very greedy play into potentially a very good play. Because most of the Marines are here in the front, in those bunkers, and only a couple of Marines are here in the base. Now he's forced to pull those Marines back. Dragoons are wreaking havoc inside of Voss's base here, and Voss is forced to regroup. But he's not all that big. He's got siege mode on the way. He's got tank on the way as well. 2 more Dragoons have been shuttled in. There's 2 zealots here on the low ground there as well. He's going to shuttle them in as well, because the Reavers are on the way, and the Reavers have not finished yet. He's adding on more gateways as well. He's got level 1 weapon upgrade on the way as well. Whereas Voss, forced to go for Marine range first, is only now finishing up his Stimmer Brigade. Now the Marines are going to be stimming into those Dragoons, but more cells are dropping on the low ground, and they're going to get a surround off on those Dragoons. Actually, all the Dragoons have gone down there, but a couple of Marines are going down there. No, he's going to migrate them out of the way. The tank here has spawned, and it looks like... No, it doesn't look like Voss has managed to weather the storm, because the Reavers have been flown into the base, and the Reavers are killing everything on the ground there. And Braingod is now pressuring the SV line directly. There's no Marines there in the front. All the bunkers have been unloaded. Braingod has pretty much cleared out every single unit. There's only 2 Marines here out on the map for Voss, and Voss is being pushed back really, really hard. 2 more shuttles are about to finish, and a couple of zealots are going to be flown over as well. And he hasn't killed a SV yet. One of the Reavers has gone down, but now he's just migrating his way out of there. Marines trying to finish off that Reaver. He doesn't manage to split them up. Both Marines go down. Now Dells are being dropped on top of the tank, which means that the Reaver can now be dropped next to the tank, and the tank goes down, and the shot goes off on the SCVs, and he kills. Oh, he manages to block off the path the SCVs were escaping to, with the shuttle picking up the Reaver and landing it right next to it, and ready to fire on the remaining SCVs that Voss had there. And that's a really quick escalation of events. The situation didn't seem that dire when those Dragoons were here in the front, and it seemed a lot less dire for Voss once Braingod started microing his Dragoons into Voss's base. But once those Dragoons were inside of Voss's base and the shuttles finished up here, Braingod just adapted really quickly and instead made the best of what was honestly a really, really greedy move from Braingod. But Braingod, with almost perfect micro-macro and great adaptation and use of units, just manages to turn the game and escalate it and speed up the process and end the game. A really impressive play there from Braingod. And yeah, that also kind of shows why he is considered one of the best Protoss player on fastest map. And yeah, let's move to game number 3. So for game number 3, Braingod and Voss switched over to playing Protoss versus Protoss. Both players are specifically really good at Protoss versus Protoss. Braingod considered to be a little bit better, but Voss can at times, with really smart play, manage to pull himself a win against the top level players. And you could even say that Voss is by now a top level player himself. He has been growing and progressing significantly over the past 2 years, past 3 or 4 years even, ever since he came to Universal Gaming League, the predecessor of Starcraft World. He has been playing a lot, has been growing a lot, and he went from being... He was really good back then too. But he went from being just a good player to being pretty much a top tier 1 versus 1 fastest map player. And whether he can pull off that W against Braingod's Protoss in PvP, it's up for debate. So as we saw last game, Braingod has got some great moves up his sleeves. And specifically some great adaptations. And he's not scared to try to flip the same strategy onto his opponent that was used on him and show them how it's really, really done. Both players starting off with the exact same path. A nexus into, presumably, a gateway. Is Braingod going for a gateway as well? His gateway is going to be a little bit later. He's going for the forge. It is a forge. He's being a little bit safer than Voss is. Voss prefers to have that zealot out first. And there's the forge. So both players actually still doing the same thing, except for flipping around the timing of their forge and gateway. And no second pylon for Voss. He's in a simulator. He's going for... Alright, there's the simulator for Braingod. Yeah, still 2 simulators. So that's the first deviation in the 2 players' build orders. I mean, the order is... of the buildings is a little bit different. The timing is a little bit different. Voss only on a single gas, but has a cybernetics core now. Braingod does not have a cybernetics core yet, but the cybernetics core comes down right now. Both players have a cannon. The only real difference here is Braingod sending 6 probes out, 2 is gas, whereas Voss is only using 3 and adds a second gas delayed by a little bit, so he'll have a little bit more minerals mined than Braingod. Both players very close to finding each other. Braingod is, yeah, pretty much has found Voss. He sees the Zealot there. Voss almost blocks that probe. Braingod is not intending on losing that probe, so he pulls it back, although I think it could have been worth it to scout the base there, get himself that crucial information on what Voss is doing, but he decides against it. Whereas Voss does decide to go in all the way and potentially lose his probe. He manages to keep it alive for a little bit longer so he can go in. There's a Citadel of Adun that he spots. And there is a Citadel of Adun for Voss as well. So both players are almost perfectly mirroring each other with some slight variations, because there's a robotic facility for Voss and I don't see a robotic facility for Braingod. And I don't think he's going to make one anytime soon. He's adding third gas. He's got a lot of gas. Alright, there's the robotic facility. He is making the robotics. Perhaps because of the distance between the two players, they're just deciding to go straight for drops instead of going for a mass. There's a Templar's Archive for Voss. Templar's Archive being started for Braingod here as well. Both players still mirroring each other perfectly. There's a Zealot there doing the scouting that the probe couldn't do. Zealot stays alive a little bit easier. Gets information. Did he see the Templar's Archive though? Well, I can turn it off, but then it won't show because there's a spectator bug, replay bug, interface bug, whatever. They messed something up when they did some updates. Right, so a little fight erupts here, but nothing too serious. Those Zealots will get forced away. The Dragoon might be able to kill 2 or 1 of those Zealots. It manages to catch up, doesn't manage to catch up. Zealots stay alive. The Zealots still walking around there in the base. There's a cannon for Dark Templar detection. Both players are making a Dark Templar. Both players are getting Storm. Both, like, just look at it. It's the exact same order in the production tab. Aside from that robotic facility coming out here for Braingod. That's the main deviation we're looking at right now. Plus, Voss is instead spending the gas and minerals that Braingod used for the support bay. He's using it on Dragoon range. Whereas Braingod is electing to go for Zealot lags and Zealot speed. Who's going to stick to the Dragoons after those Dark Templars and after the Storm finishes and after the Templar is loaded up into the shuttle and after the drop has been sent out. Whereas Voss is electing to go for the Dragoons over the Zealots. Templar is out. Templar is moving out over the map now. Inside of the shuttle, once again, a little bit of fighting here. Dark Templar is scaring those Zealots away. Zealots running back to base. And Braingod, being very smart, knowing the timing of the enemy drop, starts putting up pylons on the side. Because he doesn't want to risk being caught by surprise by any of those drops. He wants to see them fly into his base so he can prepare himself adequately, well in time, well in advance. But he only has a single cannon there. Dark Templar is moving into the base. Dark Templar is just going to try to distract and keep Braingod busy. But Braingod must have seen the shuttle walking or flying in over the top side there, over the pylon. But he is not moving anything. He's not moving any of his units. Now the shuttle is meeting his nexus and he's going to get Storm. Storm comes down. He kills 15 of those probes. That's a huge hit there. And Braingod's drop has not yielded any fruits. Where did that shuttle that Braingod had go? Oh, there it is. And he missed the Storm. I couldn't see it on the minimap. That's my bad entirely. But it looks like he missed a Storm. Voss dodged the Storm. Well, that's great. Or was it a Dark Templar in there? I should have paid more attention. But I assumed there was a Dark Templar in there because I heard a Dark Templar dying. And I saw a Templar getting picked up into a shuttle right here. So I assume it was a Dark Templar and a High Templar in that shuttle. But Braingod now deciding to go out and move and attack Voss despite having lost 15 probes just earlier. Which means that Voss has a greater capability of bouncing back. He even has a bigger base here than Braingod, because Braingod is only on 5 gateways, whereas Voss is already on 5 plus 6, 11 gateways in total. But the supply counts are almost even. Braingod now gets his drop all the way in. There's a single Templar in there, but Voss is trying to drop. He gets a great Storm off on there. I cannot see how many he killed, but he killed about 10. Templar is still alive. Archon is trying to chase down the shuttle. Shuttle gets flown into the top corner of the base. The Templar does not have energy. It's just there to keep Voss on his toes. The Zealot there protecting the Templar, and he actually does manage to get some results because now both players are on equal footing in terms of how many probes they have. But what Voss does have going for him is that his base is currently still bigger, and he still has 15 or 14 supply lead over Braingod. But Braingod, however, does have side vision there, and the drop flies in. The drop, huge hit there. The Templar manages to get almost all of Voss's drops. Voss didn't manage to dodge in time. The downside of not getting vision on your sides with those pylons or with observers. He's now making observers though, but no, that hit was huge. And that puts Braingod in the lead over Voss. Shuttle gets saved, so we can pull that back to base. Shuttle here flying over the bottom side of the map, but there's pylons there as well. Which means Braingod knows this is coming. Shuttle flies right over the pylon, and Braingod has his Dragoons already in position here to intercept that shuttle. But I think that Voss is going to keep that shuttle here in the dark for a little while longer and first attack with those Dragoons and force some of Braingod's units to the front before... Oh, there's an observer there. Which means the drop gets spotted once again, drops in full vision. Voss does not know, so Braingod is keeping his units here on the side. Fight is happening there in the front. And Braingod moves in, he tries to snipe the shuttle, but the shuttle stays alive. Fight happening here in the front. It's a lot of units, it's more units than Braingod can honestly handle at this moment, but Zealots are now spawning. Once those Zealots enter the fray, Braingod will be able to push back a little bit once he manages to tear down at least a couple of those units from Voss, but Voss is trying to get the most out of losing those probes there. He lost more probes again. I missed the drop again. I'm absolutely blind right now. So I was hyper-focused on this happening here, because this drop situation here is really, really interesting. But Voss, once again, lost about 15 or 16 of his probes. He's kind of flying through drops at the same time. This drop on the top side. Mal get taken down, but Templar here, and Templar gets a storm, but misses everything, because Braingod already dodged, because Braingod had full vision of both drops. One drop got in, but the other one got taken down, but doesn't get any probes. Which now means that Voss is in a terrible, terrible position, because he's got 17 probes. 17 probes, of which 5, I think, are mining gas. And 13 are here on the minerals. And the drop already flying in. Voss responding too slow, because he didn't get himself in the buffer zone and gets hit once again. But he manages to keep most of his probes alive, but did lose too many, honestly, once again. And yeah, Braingod's ability to handle drops, to defend against those drops, just seems to be way superior over Voss's. And I attribute that mostly to getting these pylons up on the side really, really early, and Voss electing not to kill those pylons on the side to give himself a little bit of an easier time getting those drops into Braingod's base. Said he's being greedy. He's going for the frontal attack here. Managed to catch a couple of Dragoons, because he's trying to kill that observer there on the side. A single Dragoon makes its way in, and the Dragoon also happens to spot that shuttle. The shuttle makes its way in, but there's Dragoons there waiting. The shuttle gets forced back. She's now flying over the hill, managed to retreat all the way back to the units there in the front, but Braingod now decides to push out, because he's on 180 supply with those 68 probes. He has those 24 from Voss. Voss will be incapable of producing another mass once he loses this. And even if he does manage to retreat back to base, there's no way he's going to hold this entire mass here from Braingod. Braingod will have an easy time just waltzing right in, and then probably walking these Templars. He doesn't even have to use his shuttle anymore. He can just walk them in and storm those minerals with those 3 Templars, because he has so many units here that he cannot handle. Voss is still looking for a way in, but that shuttle is on a single Dragoon shot of HP. And there's Dragoons there waiting on the path of that drop. This is Voss's last chance. Shuttle gets taken down. Shuttle gets taken down. Templar got out, but Templar is too far away from the minerals. And here, he's just gonna waltz his way in and storm those probes. Only 9 probes left. Voss calls it GG, and the score is 2-1 in favor of Braingod. And Braingod really showing us that he is the superior player, specifically in this match. Because he just handled the drops that Voss was sending in way better than Voss was handling the drops Braingod was sending in. Voss just didn't give himself any buffer time, because he had no side vision. It was only until the shuttle was already here that he could see it. And if you put your shuttles a little bit very close to the side here of the base, it's very hard to spot it. So yeah, a little bit of thinking that Braingod did, that Voss didn't, helped him get the win. Let's move into game number 4 and see how this story progresses. For game number 4, Braingod is sticking to the Protoss. It's a Protoss versus Terran, with Voss playing on the Terran. Voss is specifically known as a Terran versus Protoss specialist within Korea. But will his specialism in Protoss, or I mean Terran, be sufficient for him to win a cross-map Protoss versus Terran, which is generally in favor of the Terran? Because the distance for the Protoss to move all the way across the map is just a little bit too big. So I'm going to speed up the early phase a little bit because, well, the early phase, as we know, is going to be orthodox, standard, not very exciting. But that's just something that's a given with these players. The early game, the first 3 minutes, you won't see any wild variations because they just know this works best. If I try to deviate from it, it's probably going to fail, so I might as well not try. You can't really cheese these players, so I'm not going to try to cheese either. Alright, 2:30. I'm going to slow down the clock and see that there's a double command center being added on for Voss very early. He's not even making more Marines. He's got 3 Marines in total. Will just be enough to snipe that probe down before it leaves the base, or maybe the probe's going to get out alive. Just getting information and continuating the Marine production. Braingod once again with the single cannon and the Zealot there in the front. Adding on a Seal of Dune after the Cybernetics core on 2 gas. Another Zealot coming out. Maybe I unslowed the game, or unfastened, or slowed the game down, however you want to say it. Maybe I stopped doing the ×2, ×4 a little bit too early. So it looks like nothing is going to be happening yet within the foreseeable 2 or 3 minutes. This is standard double robotics. He's actually making both robotics at the same time. Usually Yuzu players go for robotics, Seal of the Dune, and then robotics, but Braingod, not one of those players. He goes for double robotics right after the Seal of the Dune. There's a Templars archive. I assume he's going for Dark Templars. Seems to be a very logical option. Voss is trying to hunt for this cannon here in the front. Because honestly, that single cannon there in the front is playing it really, really risky. But Voss is coming out with a late academy, so no medics, so he can't really try to force it because there's no stim, no medics. You would have to just do it without either stim or medics and try to go for the cannon and the Zealots there in the front. So just keeping those Marines there to keep anything that Braingod wants to send out boxed in, but also to keep himself informed of what Braingod might be up to. For example, if Dark Templars leave the base, you can see it and he can throw down a turret here in the front. After, of course, he has that engineering bay, which he does not currently have, but he's making a scan. I would love to see Voss go aggressive here, but I don't think it's going to work all that well. Because Dark Templars, a Dark Templar, not Dark Templars, but a Dark Templar is already on the way. A Templar is also already on the way, a second Templar as well. And no shuttles. No shuttles. But he does have the robotics bay, and he is getting shuttle speed. So in the near future, we will be seeing those shuttles being produced, so we can start going for the drops. There's a Corsair also already being made, 520 in, and Dark Templar there gets a good couple shots off on those Marines. 3 Marines go down, Dark Templar goes down as well. Now the medics are rendezvousing with the Marines. Is he gonna go? He's gonna go, but he isn't healing up those Marines first. He isn't sending the medics in first either, which means that this is going to fail. He is too greedy there. And the cannon doesn't even go down. Just the 2 Zealots go down and the cannon stays alive. Another Zealot is already being sent to the front there. That was very, very extremely greedy from Voss. He should have just healed up his Marines first. Then sent in the medics first. And then attacked with the Marines. So the Marines don't take the first shots, and the Marines immediately start getting healed. And the medics also start blocking those Zealots from having access to the Marines. But it didn't work out. He's going to try again, I'm sure. But Double Shield is already on the way. There's 4 Templars, 2 Zealots, and these Templars have Storm upgrade and anything for Storm. So all Braingod has to do is Storm. Voss tries to dodge it, but loses 4 of those Marines and is forced to pull back once again. Let's look at his base. 2 starports for raids against those shuttles. Great choice. Some 51 SCVs against 50 probes. Corsair and the shuttle already flying cross map. Shuttle has speed, as mentioned before, adding on 3 forges at the same time. So he might be going for every single upgrade. He is going for every single upgrade, right as I mentioned it. Already mining from 4 gazers there. That's quite early. He's going to try to send in 2 drops at the same time from 2 different directions. Will Voss have the multitasking to go for both? He actually does manage to go for both. Top 1 goes down, but all the Templars get unloaded. And Templars getting storms off. He dodges right into the storm, but the SCVs stay alive because SCVs don't die if they walk through a storm. But now another storm comes down. Another couple of those SCVs go down. There's still a Templar there on the low ground, but all the storms have been used. And Braingod fails to, even with a beautiful setup, fails to land a devastating and decisive blow on Voss. Voss manages to handle himself really well, even though it's against 2 shuttle drops from 2 different directions, which is generally hard to hold, specifically when there's 4 or 5 Templars in the mix. Braingod does not give up. He's already sending out another drop. It's a single Zealot, 3 Templars, but there's a lot of shuttles here. Turrets here. He uses the Corsair to take focus away from the shuttles, but the shuttle, he managed to unload 2 Templars. Gets a storm off because Voss is greedy and Voss doesn't dodge because he thought he could kill the Templars before the storm, but the storm comes down and he kills about 26 of those SCVs, and Braingod manages to land the first blow, liver blow, right into the guts. And now he decides to go for side control. He's continuing to dropping. He's added on gateways. He's finally getting singularity charge as well. Just gonna keep going for the very balanced mix. He's not over investing in anything. Just playing it very, very well spread out. And very specific. A couple of Dragoons, which will be useful here for the front. There's a tank that's sieging up in the back. So I'm gonna try to go for a tank drop. Those Dragoons here, if those Dragoons do try... My apologies. If those Dragoons do decide to attack, he can use that range to kill these depots here in the front because there's no tanks here in the front. And then walk in with a couple of ground units as well. And Shuttle's leaving the base. This time he's got 2 Zealots. Dragoon, 2 Zealots. Templar in there as well. And 2 Templars, a lot of Zealots, a couple of Dragoons. Hasn't been spotted out yet, but this Wraith will spot him out. And both drops are happening at the same time. He's going to attack the Wraith first with those Corsairs. This drop here, he's trying to drop, but he is being walled off by this Corsair and those Dragoons. Now he has to unload those tanks there on the hill. But that still won't achieve much because there's an Observer there on the hill. There's even a Corsair there on the hill, and 1 tank goes down before gets a shut off, and 1 gets only 1 shut off. Alright. Not much happened. Both players handling that situation really, really well. Braingod redirecting his drop to the other side. Or to the front side. Is he going to go into the front? The front here is honestly really weak here from Voss. And Braingod has quite a mass. He's going to send in through the front here. He's been spending his minerals really, really well. Almost 10 minutes into the game and he's still on such low minerals with 70 probes. That means he's spending non-stop. And he's going to go in. He's going to land those units behind the bunker line. But no Templar. There's a single Templar there. It's a Templar. Can I get a storm up? He can get 2 storm up. He's not storming. He storms and the Marines go down. Beautiful takedown there. But honestly, he is not managing to do the amount of damage that he intended to do. Because Voss had a lot of bunkers here. A lot of Marines. No tanks. But those tanks didn't really matter. He did kill 3 bunkers. Didn't get the depots there on the side. Didn't get most of the units inside of the base. So it didn't work out. The setup was good. But it just happened to not work. So he's going to go back to drops on the main. While still trying to somewhat keep the pressure on the front up. Or at least try to take down this wall that is being rebuilt. It's a great move from Voss there. Not wasting time. and having an open front. Just plugging it up immediately. This time he's using his Dragoons a little bit more wisely. But he's sending in the drop at the same time. Drop makes its way in. But his shuttles are being forced away. He tries to micro his way through, in between, maneuver to the side, to and fro. But the Marines take down the shuttle. Now the front is being hammered away at. He managed to take down 2 depots out of 3. But Voss having 2 SCVs there in the front will be able to make 2 more depots once again very quick. So no damage has been dealt really. Although Voss did get supply stuck, which might hurt him somewhere down the line. He's already throwing down 3 more depots. He's got airship, weapon upgrade on the way. No tank, just airship. Because as long as he can keep those drops from hitting his SCVs, he knows that he can extend this game into the late game. Braingod goes in over the bottom side, but unloads on the lower ground right next to the hill. He's just going to try to clear those units out on the lower ground, but Braingod, Voss, wants none of that. And holds it really, really easily. No effort used. No effort expended. Nothing lost. That attacks fails for Braingod. Braingod still adding on to his base. His minerals are now floating quite a bit. We're floating quite a bit. Going up and down steadily. Almost upgrades on the way. He's got a Dark Templar there. Not a fan of Dark Archons, Not a fan of Dark Archons. And yeah, adding on a lot of robotics just so he can spam out more of those shuttles. Potentially throwing some Reavers as well. Drop flies in over the bottom side here. Voss being a camper supreme with Terran. Does not manage to snipe any of those shuttles. Storm comes down, but there's only a single Templar in the mix. So only a single Storm kills 2 SCVs. A couple of more SCVs are going down to... He's focusing on the Nexus. There's a command center, but the command center is getting repaired. So pretty much no damage has been dealt here. Voss once again handles himself quite well. And the siege tanks are actually dealing a lot of damage to the command center there. Now units being dropped here next to the hill, taking down those turrets there on the low ground. Siege tank is helping, but the result goes down eventually. Making sure to clear out the engineering bay there on the side as well to deny vision. There's Zealot there on the hill. Surprised how it got up there. So yeah, Braingod manages to disrupt Voss for a short little while. It's a great disruption there. But no damage dealt. But maybe it was a setup for this one, because this Templar unloaded just in time, gets a storm up on a couple of Marines. But nothing more than that. Still a couple of Templars here, right next to it. He's going to try to fly those in. There he goes, he tries to go in, but the Valkyries chase it away. This is Dark Templar they picked up. Dark Templar gets unloaded. No SCV mind control for Braingod. Thank God, because I would have absolutely hated that to happen, because I absolutely hate mind controlled SCVs. Protoss then playing 2 races with 400 supply cap is just absolutely unfair for how difficult it is to get that SCV mind control, which isn't difficult at all. Honestly, it isn't. Here he goes. Gonna try to get the mind control. He's gonna get the mind control. Got the mind control, and he pulls out. Not cool, Braingod. Not cool. Oh, he's gonna make a command center right there in the choke. So at least he's not pulling it all the way back in his base. He's giving Voss a chance to push out and kill that command center before it finishes and completes. Which I don't think he's gonna do, because the drop is on the way. A lot of shuttles. Braingod's base is honestly really small. But he's somehow managing to do a lot of stuff with a really tiny base. Where did the shuttles go? Where did... Oh, there they are. Even as an observer, it can be hard to find those shuttles on the minimap when they're flying against the bottom side of the map. Goes in, the Valkyries firing away on the Corsairs. The shuttle's now being targeted as well, and he's going to unload right on top of this mass all over again. Probably get another, no mind control this time. Just going to hammer away on the command center. Will Voss be able to repair it in time? Voss is clipping his SCVs into those Dragoons to stop them from firing, but the command center is taking a lot of damage, way more damage, and Braingod used Maelstrom to stop the SCVs from repairing. That's absolutely insane. I've never seen that used like that. He managed to take it, even though he shouldn't be able to take it, but he managed to take it because he used the Maelstrom. I think it's called the Maelstrom. Used the Maelstrom on his SCVs and stopped them from repairing. That's absolutely mind-blowingly, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. That's... Never thought I would ever see it used like that, and didn't even think of it. So yeah, Braingod... Yeah, that's just a great micro move. A command center hadn't even finished. Voss could still have stopped that from finishing, but he just got outplayed. Here at the end, he got outplayed really hard. That's really, really nice. Like, it didn't seem big, but Braingod managed to keep this hole open here on the bottom side, and Voss was never able to plug it up. Was never able to get himself sufficiently prepared for drops, really. He managed to hold most of them really well, but Braingod always kept a little window open that he could abuse, always kept Voss busy. Like, Voss was basically so busy for the last 5 minutes that he didn't ever really have the time to build as he intended to. And even though all the attacks were small and seemingly didn't do much damage, Braingod's ability to have more multitasking going on at the same time than Voss wound up being the winning factor for Braingod. Alright, so the score 3-1. Voss handling himself quite well, but getting outclassed in very small, minute things that you wouldn't really think one could be outclassed in, but it's just happening. Alright, let's go for game number 5. And they're back in a Protoss versus Protoss for game number 5. Can Voss beat Braingod in what is once again a cross-map PvP? So I'm going to speed up the early game a little bit, because that's going to be a little bit slow. There's not going to be much action happening in the first couple of minutes. Both players are going to be starting out the same, most likely. So the big question here is, can Voss put up a fight that is significant enough to put Braingod back against the wall? Or is this going to be just another one of those somewhat one-sided games in favor of Braingod? Because honestly, aside from the first game, that was for obvious reasons not in favor of Braingod, can Voss put up enough of a fight? The entire series has been in favor of Braingod so far, for somewhat obvious reasons. You've all seen it happen. The very small details that put these players apart from each other, will they once again set them apart? Or will Voss transform to the next level? Dramatic development. Yeah, so both players starting out once again pretty much the same. 2 simulators this time, robotic facility. Well, it's called a cybernetics core. It's called a cybernetics core. Damn it. Alright, so Citadel of Adun and a Citadel of Adun. Both players really love mimicking each other. So we've made a robotic facility here as well. Both players doing once again the exact same thing, adding on a gateway. There is no gateway being added on here for Braingod. Wait, this is Voss. Voss is not adding on a gateway, whereas Braingod is. Braingod adds on a gas as well. Voss does not. Voss now adds on a gateway. Big surprise, and there is the... It looked like this probe was moving in to make the gas, but it's not. Yeah, this pretty much just looks like a timed Zealot attack in combination with drops and Dark Templars. Much like in the previous Protoss vs. Protoss, both players actually almost perfectly mirroring each other. Not in exact build order execution, but in what they're planning on doing. The main difference is just this one, just this assimilator, which Voss is now adding on a little bit later, because he decides to add on more gateways first. Whereas Braingod has decided against adding on more gateways first, because he wants some of that shuttle first. The shuttle also on the way for Voss. But no... Well, he has one. The Templar's Archive. difference right now is a robotic facility for Braingod and no robotics facility for Voss. Voss should in theory have more ground capability, but Braingod has more drop potential at the moment because that speeded shuttle is going to make a small difference in being able to land your drops. Voss is going for the observer first because he is expecting Dark Templars and he needs an observer to really get maximum use out of the Dragoons that he's going to be building, or at least defend himself with. Single cannon there in the choke, as is a rule in Korean Protoss versus Protoss. This Dragoon got stuck. That's what happens if you keep this space open here and you make a Dragoon. And it's gonna spawn right in between there, so that's unfortunate there. 125 minerals wasted for Braingod. And 50 gas, of course, as well. He manages to... Oh, he just picks it up. Of course, that's also possible. You can just pick it up and get it out there. Obviously way smarter than I am. Quite observer here moving to the side. He's going to get side vision instead. Shuttle here moving over the hill, but it gets spotted out very briefly by this pylon. He tries to correct it, but I think Braingod already saw it, or maybe he didn't. He does have Dragoons already in position to intercept it. Weapon upgrade on the way. Singularity charge on the way. He already moves in. He knows it is... Wait. Yes, there it is. He intercepts the shuttle. Chases it around. Kills the shuttle. Templar drops low ground. Templar tries to make its way in. And he manages to get a storm off. But on the wrong side. Because Braingod has rallied all of his probes to this side here. So all of his probes are here. Not there. But he manages to avert disaster. Drop gets spotted out by the observer. Smart to put the observer there up on the hill. Braingod is instead using pylons here on the side, as I've already mentioned a little bit before, which spotted out the drop there. He's going to try to fly this drop in, but he's going to fly another shuttle in over the top side at the same time. But Voss already has an observer out on the top side as well, so he is prepared sufficiently and adequately to fight into it. A lot of KOs here being made. Dragoons there ready to intercept the shuttle. Dragoons here also ready to intercept the shuttle. But the top side only has 3 Dragoons. And Dark Templar is walking into a cannon. He's going to try to take down the cannon, but now the Dragoons are moving in, ready to take down the cannon. And while it is happening, while the setup is happening, he's sending in a fake shuttle, while also sending in the real shuttle, and he's maneuvering that real shuttle around those Dragoons while Voss was busy fighting here against the Dark Templars, and he gets a storm off, and the storm kills 2 of those probes. He's going to try to pick up the Templar. No, he's just going to try and be a bother while focusing on his own base there. Once again, that's the huge difference there. Did you see the genius behind that setup by Braingod? That genius was... That's the difference. Like, Braingod sets himself up for success, whereas Voss is kind of playing a little bit of a simpler game, perhaps. I'm not sure if that's the word I want to use, but it looks a little bit simpler in terms of setup and execution. Like, just to bring it home, going into the front, distracting, forcing Dragoons to kill the Dark Templars, flies in a fake drop over the path that is close to the Dark Templars, while also maneuvering around with the other one. A lot of things going on that Voss has to process within a very short period of time that do take his focus away from defending against drop. And in the end, didn't work out for Braingod, but it almost got Voss right into Kisser. So let's get back to the game itself and see how it is progressing. Both players haven't dropped for about a minute now, which is somewhat unorthodox. Usually the drops happening a little bit closer to each other. Voss does not even have a shuttle. Oh, he has a shuttle out on the map, but no shuttle speed. Shuttle speed is on the way. No upgrades yet. Braingod is already on... No, he's close to level 1 weapon upgrade. He's looking for a way in. But he sees that his shuttles get spotted out by this probe, so he pulls around back to his base. That's a very, very big retreat. He's gonna rendezvous with his units. Probe there, getting caught, gets killed. Shuttle flies in over the pylons. Voss, of course, incapable of killing those pylons because Braingod has control over the middle map, which makes it really, really difficult for Voss to get any of those drops in. Braingod there, already ready to intercept the shuttle because he knows that was coming. So already looking there, shuttle gets pulled back, which is smart. Some players will just try to brute force their shuttle in and not preserve it. and try to brute force like, oh, I'm going to fly in anyway, even though there's 10 Dragoons there ready to intercept the shuttle. He pulls back. He's going to wait for another window. And here, Braingod is using his observer to kill the observers that Voss had there on the side, so we can fly his shuttle in over the top side. Once again, great setup. And there the shuttle comes. And honestly, it's a little bit difficult for Voss to focus on the shuttles, although there a huge amount of Dragoons there ready to intercept, but the Templar gets unloaded on the Lorcan. Templar gets a storm, and he kills 16 probes. 16 probes get killed. There's still 50 of them alive. I mean, that's a great pickup. Not the greatest, but it is a great pickup. Drop here happening at the same time inside of Braingod's base, and this time the shuttle makes it all the way in. And he gets a storm off, and he kills a similar amount, actually even more. He killed about 21. 21. 21. More. 31. He killed 31. Another drop was almost reached the point where you could storm on the probes. And as you can see, sometimes a simpler setup can work as well. Because Voss had a really simple setup, which was basically, I'm just going to send my shuttle in at a time where I think Braingod is not paying optimal attention to what is happening, and just try to land it. And he landed it. Even better than Braingod did with his very elaborate setups. So Braingod goes for the attack, under the assumption that he did some economic damage to Voss, and Voss will have a hard time defending himself. But both players are actually on similar amounts of Psy, and Voss had all of his units spread out to the side, so he gets a great surround off on Braingod, who has to enter through this bottleneck, which gives him a harder time of spreading out his Dragoons there on the low ground. Drop there flying in, but Drop gets taken down by the Dragoons that were still in there on the bottom side of Voss's base. Now Voss using that great surround he has on Braingod's units to push in and defend himself with. But well, they both have the same upgrades, honestly, so this is just going to be one of the situations where the player with the better spread on the Dragoons is going to take the upper hand over the other one, and Voss will hold this without much effort. And given that his base is bigger and he's got more minerals, his Psy count is also bigger. Plus, of course, the surround, making it easier to kill more of the enemy units, also results in having a bigger supply. At the end of the fight, as we can see, 136 for Braingod and 166 for Voss. And another shuttle here got taken down. Braingod, once again, being aware. Voss has managed to sneak out a Dark Templar and cleared out the pylons here on the side. Managed to clear out the last pylon there as well, which now opens up a huge portion of the map here for Voss to fly drops in over. Braingod now forced to pull back to his own base, only on 54 probes. He's still got probes pumping. He's trying to recover from that drop that he got hit by. But he decides to fight back against Voss on the middle of the map, because Voss does not have all of his units on the middle of the map, but Braingod's got more units on the middle there. Those Zealots chasing down those Dragoons. A drop here, once again flying in over the bottom side, but got spotted out by his own shuttle. And Braingod already moving his Dragoons ready to intercept it, but Voss decides against going in, knowing that Braingod's side, he's going to try to fly in over the top side instead, but once again gets spotted out by units and flies into the pylons. Because he's at the same time trying to defend himself against this frontal attack here from Braingod. Shuttle flies into an observer, so he's still spotted out. Dragoons are still there in the path. He sends it in. And Dragoons firing on the shuttle. Shuttle is not capable of unloading the High Templar. And Braingod pulls back here in the front because he sees that Voss this time around has a bigger mass inside of his choke here, as is natural, honestly. And he is forced to pull back. But these Templars are slowing down the units here in the back. And these couple of Zealots there in the front will get a surround off, but Braingod is instead getting a counter surround off with those Zealots here, and he gets beautiful storms off on those Dragoons. Dragoons taking the brunt force off those storms, which should make it easier for these Zealots to tear through those Dragoons there in the front, but there's more Dragoons coming in from behind, ready to hammer away on those Zealots. So Braingod decides to pull back, knowing that he honestly cannot fight into that mass and needs the bottleneck here. He needs his bottleneck and the superior spread out on his Dragoons and Zealots. On those Dragoons coming in through the front to fight against this. Both players have almost similar upgrades. Level 2 weapons for Braingod, level 1 armor and level 1 weapon for Voss. Voss once again flying back and forth with his shuttle, but the shuttle is empty. He didn't pick up the Templar. He should have picked up the Templar there. But the drop is here coming in for Braingod. Braingod flies in. Voss spots it. Voss, oh, he managed to unload the Templar. And the Templar is going to get a storm off on the big side. Actually, on the completely full side there of Voss's probe stack. And kills 35 probes. That's an amazingly huge pickup for Braingod. Considering Voss was in the process of expanding most of his units here in the front into Braingod's choke point there, which cost him a lot of units. And the shuttle that he had got flown in, got intercepted, but it was empty. So no results gained there for Voss. Just things lost. And this might just cost him the game. Because Braingod now here is on a real huge big push here. Drop flies in. It's only a single Templar in there, not even a Zealot in there. He managed to get it in all the way, and he kills about 7 of Braingod's probes. So not that great of a storm. Here on the middle, Braingod is still pushing in. Defensive storm coming down from Voss on those Zealots on the low ground there. Zealots tanking the entire storm. As they're slow chasing these units into Voss's base, Voss is pulling all of his units back in between his own gateways to make it harder for Braingod to get a good spread and surround off on the ground forces here of Voss. Buildings are a great disruptor of the Dragoon spread. The Zealots, of course, also have a little bit of a harder time to get in between those buildings and yeah, they can get stuck. They can only attack a single unit, so they cannot get a great surround off on Voss's units there on the low ground inside of the base. So he pulls back, managed to pull a couple of Voss's units out in the open, gets a surround on them, and then Voss is forced to pull back. At the same time, he picked up a Dragoon, picked up a Templar. It's going to fly in over the bottom side, and just so happens that Voss just so happens to have his Dragoons in position just in time because he sees the shuttle with that observer. He's going to try to snipe the shuttle before the Templar comes out, and he manages to do so. But the front here is slowly being torn down by Braingod, who has the superior ground mass, superior economy, gets in there, cleans up the frontal part there, but a drop is coming in into his base at the same time. But Voss, forced to defend himself, lets it hang. And actually, the units from Braingod getting stuck in between those gateways, which is actually really fortunate for Voss there because it helps Voss get back into the game. But a drop also happened at the same time inside of Voss's base that I missed. But that is absolutely devastating. Just when you think that Voss clawed himself back into the game, he gets hit by an insanely massive storm drop on his probes there at the very exact same moment that he was hitting Braingod. So he couldn't dodge. And Braingod somehow managed to multitask at the same time on both locations, which is honestly really amazing. So only 12 probes left for Voss, and no minerals. No minerals, and he's got pretty much nothing in production as well. Aside from a shuttle, a Templar, another Templar in one of these gateways as well. And he's got a couple of Zealots there on the low ground. So there is still a shot for him to try and deal a really, really devastating blow on Braingod's probes. But that's the very last thing he's gonna do if it fails. Because if it fails, there's no way he can imaginably come back into this game. So Voss, knowing that that drop is going to be the only thing that can still put him back in this game, sends out his Dark Templars to clear out the sides there. Because he needs time. He needs to deny Braingod vision of the sides. So Braingod cannot defend himself against that shuttle drop. And Braingod, I think, is fully aware of this fact. Because Braingod has all of his Dragoons located in his base. And he's not going for the attack. He's waiting it out, preparing himself, and he's going to look at the size of Voss's ground mass while he flies this hallucinated shuttle mass in. And there the Templars get unloaded on the low ground, gets a storm off, kills a single probe, and there he kills 7 probes. So 8 probes in total there killed by Braingod, which is absolutely, I've said it a lot, used the word a lot, absolutely devastating for Voss, considering his mineral count is already so low. And losing 400 worth of probes to a storm drop, while also also losing a lot of mining potential is really, really bad in this situation. And now Braingod just has to hold the next storm drop that... Where'd that shuttle go? He's got a shuttle on the way. I think he just defended against it at the same time as I was looking inside of his base. But he evidently missed, because Braingod's probe count is all fine and dandy. Braingod now going in for the frontal attack, knowing that he can end it. He knows. Because he saw most of the units that Voss still had left when he flew in with that drop. Dark Templars there just trying to disrupt the front units leaving. We'll try to kill that cannon there in the front. So yeah, Braingod, this game is over. Maybe I'm calling it prematurely, but it looks to be over. Voss can try to micro this all he wants. But look at those upgrades. Braingod has got more shield and one more weapon upgrade. He's got this in the bag. His Psy count is 100 bigger. 110 bigger than Voss's. And as you can see, he's just tearing through the base of Voss here. Voss calls the GG. And the game, the series is over. Braingod wins 4-1. And the only win that Voss got was basically a handout of mistakes and greedy moves that backfired against Braingod. And Braingod, yeah. Braingod makes somewhat quick work of Starcraft World's best 1v1 player. Really goes to show just how dominant and how good Braingod is. And even though a lot of these things looked very close, just the attention to detail for setup in Braingod's play is what leads to his success. The attention to detail that Voss does not have yet. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this series. I hope you learned a couple of things, because I mean I say that every single video, but in this video specifically, I saw some things that I think were very, very smart. Very smart. Like the amount of distraction that Braingod uses to set himself up for hitting drops or hitting attacks anywhere. The amount of attention to detail and setup, that's just really, really, really impressive. Really impressive. Yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you had somewhat of a good series. My voice isn't feeling too healthy today. You might have noticed in the way I sound, or maybe you haven't. But I hope it didn't affect the quality of the video. So have a good day, and hope to see you next time.